Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about this one because our guest has long been one of my favorites on Sportswire Radio for very, very good reasons. A, look at his size, look at his strength, but also because he does this also. We see him usually at times do some commentating for GT Ministries. He was there at the Fountains Church in their last big show. I'm sure he'll have some things to say about that company. Plus, going to talk about that belt he has on his waist right now, of course, from Championship Wrestling Entertainment. He is one half of their reigning, defending tag team champions. You're going to see him at a slew of shows upcoming. He is definitely somebody that I promise you're also going to want to hear from because one of our other favorites on Sportswire Radio, there's always this kind of back and forth. I'll explain that and more. He needs no further introduction. But because he has long been one of our, as I said, favorites on Sportswire Radio, he is going to get that introduction that he long deserves. So with that, without further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one level sports show from the modern day mafia, one half of the reigning, defending CWE tag team champions of the world, amongst many other promotions. He is Cobra. The champ is here.
Thank you very much, Rev. But first things first, I've got something I want to get off my chest.
The floor is yours.
Now, it's been a while since I've been on here, Tom. And I've had a lot of people chirping at me. One person chirping at me, constantly in my ear, chirping away. And that person is the Big Cheese. So, Big Cheese, how about this? We settle this like men on the 30th of September at GTM Takeover in Derby. You go 1-on-1 with me. Acknowledge that.
Whoa! What did I just hear? Joel Cobra, September the 13th, which is now less than a month away, that you want the tribal cheese, you want Bree, you want him in a match in GT Ministries?
September the 30th, Derby, St. Francis Church in Mackworth. 1-on-1, Joel Cobra, Big Cheese. Let's settle this. You've never been pinned. You've never been submitted. I aim to change that. I aim to hurt you like you have never been hurt before. So, Big Cheese, if you've got the baby bells, accept the challenge and meet me 1-on-1.
You know, this has been a rivalry that has been going on for months. We even had the two of yous where he interrupted you. We've even seen the video packages in different places. I mean, I would say, if I could, Mr. Cobra, this could very well be figuratively and literally maybe the biggest match of the entire year. I mean, listen, we love GT Ministries here on Sportswire Radio. You certainly know that. But I hope the ring can hold the two of yous based on the destruction and the damage that the two of yous have done, and especially since you've returned to the ring. What's your thoughts on that?
Like I said, Rev, I've been training. I have been busting my backside because I knew this day was coming. I knew I had a date in mind, and that date is the 30th of September. And just let me tell you this as well, Rev. Already for this show, 100 tickets are sold, ready, before any matches are announced. So now you've got something to buy your tickets for, to see me, Joe Cobra, go one-on-one with the Big Cheese.
Well, I've got Mr. Logan ready to comment, and this will be September the 30th. And I want people to go, before anything else, go to GT Ministries UK on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just go there, check it. Also, Wrestling Church FCB, which is the Fountains Church at Bradford. Also, go to their page as well. I'm sure there'll be more information when that time comes. And 100 tickets already sold. This is why, listen, I always say it here. When you think about some of the biggest attractions, some of the biggest draws, and the two of the biggest men, I think, in this sport around the world are Joel Cobra and the Big Cheese Logan. And this is a match I want to say I have wanted to see for a long time, especially all throughout 2023. So I'm glad, Mr. Cobra, that you have come out here tonight. You have literally come out swinging. I mean, I've known you a while. I've known you for almost 2 years. This is something where you've come out tonight. I mean, this is like a new Joel Cobra. I don't know what it is, but before I get to Mr. Logan, I think maybe he's put you in a different place and you're going to unleash it on him. I mean, what do you say to that?
Physically, mentally, I know Big Cheese is not a walk in the park. I know when I step through them ropes and I face him and we go head to head, I know this ain't just going to be a walk in the park. This ain't just going to be a normal beating I inflict on other people. No, I know I'm going to get hurt. I know I'm going to get beaten. But you know what? It's going to come down to who has the most heart. And with me and Cheesy, it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be a war. There's going to be no ring big enough to hold and contain.
Yeah, I don't listen. It's funny you said that because that's what I said a few minutes ago. I hope the ring can withhold the two of you, withhold the punishment, the pain. You think about this. September 30th is kind of the start of the fall. I think the summer doesn't end until Joel Cobra and the Big Cheese Logan square off. I mean, you think about this. Just think about this, ladies and gentlemen. You think about these two giants, these two behemoths. When I think about what goes on in wrestling and who should be a dream match and who should face off with each other and the stars have finally aligned, you think about where we could go. They used to say to infinity and beyond. They used to say, Houston, we have liftoff. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I think it's going to be infinity and beyond when Joel Cobra and the Big Cheese Logan square off. It almost makes me want to hear the Big Cheese come live back to Sportswire Radio and respond to this, because to me, this is going to be bigger than any world title fight. This is going to be bigger than any number one contender fight. Stipulation, you name it. Listen, everybody was talking about Brock and Cody. Everybody was talking about Roman and which Uso he's going to face off with. Everybody's talking about AEW All In coming to Wembley Stadium. It sold more tickets than SummerSlam. You know what? None of that. I'm going to say it as the host of the Sports Report, the man behind Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling. Nothing will pale into comparison to the Big Cheese Logan and Joel Cobra. GT Ministries UK, Wrestling Church FCB. Just go follow those places, because I'm telling you, this is going to be one for the ages. And I have to let Mr. Logan respond before I get to a whole list of things and comments. One-on-one, Cobra vs. Cheese. Consider it a date, and I'll make sure you acknowledge me come September the 30th. Let's go. Your response.
September 30th, Cobra Cheese. You've got to be there to see the damage. And there will be damage. There will be a lot of damage. You will crumble.
Hurricanes, tornadoes are going to have nothing on what this match does. But before I come back to Mr. Logan, I have a ton of comments, and I want to say hello to everybody out there, and thank you for tuning in tonight. But I'm going to ask this. I know the Big Cheese, and I'm not going to lie to you. I know the Big Cheese very well. I know you very well also. But I'm going to ask you something, and you tell me your thoughts on this. Has the Big Cheese ever been in the ring with somebody like you?
No. He's been in the ring with pretenders. He's been in the ring with people who want to make a name, who think they've got a name. And Cheesy's beat them. He has. You know, I'm not going to discredit him. I'm not. He's a tough SOB, but he's never been in the ring with me. And I tell you what, I'm going to bring the fight to the Big Cheese like nobody has ever brought a fight. This is going to be one of the biggest fights. Forget going for a championship. Forget going for anything else. This is the biggest fight of my life. This is what my comeback, this is what my rehab, the blood, the sweat, the tears has all led to going one-on-one with Cheese. It's time to prove myself against, let's be honest, arguably one of the toughest guys on the circuit at the moment.
You know, when I think of big men, to me, he is one of the guys that I look at as the measuring stick. When I think about the Big Cheese Logan, when I think about his pound-for-pound strength, when I think about his larger-than-life charisma, I think about what he's done. I think about everything that he brings to the table. You know, I'm going to say this here. I don't know if it's going to be a pipe bomb or not, but when I think of some of the big men here in the UK, I have long thought that the Big Cheese is one of the greatest attractions currently at the moment that we have in England, throughout the United Kingdom. And the fact that we're going to see this match, and something you also said, is that you're finally healthy. You know, you have had, to me, in a lot of ways, untapped potential. You have been one of these guys that I always felt, and this is why I've always, to me, supported you, and this is why I've always wanted to see this match, because, to me, you've been one of these guys that I think should be where the Big Cheese Logan is. You know, this is the biggest match of your career, I think, because I think what's going to happen after September the 30th could very well dictate the future of Joel Cobra. That's what I think.
You're not wrong. This is the biggest opportunity. This is the biggest match I'm going to have been in of my career. And I'm not going to back down from this. You know, the blood, the sweat, the tears I put into rehabbing my knee.
And you've had injuries a lot, because I've had you on a couple different times, and it was like, almost like we were speaking about this months ago, about coming back from the injuries and trying to just basically get back to where you wanted to be. And you were so disappointed, even earlier in the year. You were working, and it was like you couldn't work the way you wanted to work. But now, I think after seeing you in a couple of different places already, I think this is the Joel Cobra that the wrestling world finally gets to see.
100%. You know, I've been working and surrounding myself with people who, you know, are getting the best out of Joel Cobra. You know, I'm hitting the gym 5-6 times a week. You know, maybe one day off, but no, because that day off, I'm training. I'm busting my ass 5 hours on a Sunday. You know, I'm driving 2 hours to go train. I'm training for 5 hours. I'm then driving back home. Then Monday, I'm back in the gym. Tuesday, in the gym. You know, this ain't no game to me. This is life.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses famously sang in Welcome to the Jungle, we got fun and games here. There is going to be no fun and games here. I promise you, when the Big Cheese Logan and Joel Cobra square off September the 30th for GT Ministries, this is a dream match. This is a main event. This is one that I cannot wait to cover. But let me get to know, first of all, from GT Ministries, because management has heard this and they've responded. So, Mr. Cobra, and for you, Mr. Logan, gentlemen, consider it booked. So there you have it. Straight from the source. Can't argue that, right? You cannot argue GT Ministries, and booked it. It is going to be September the 30th. And I want to make sure people follow GT Ministries UK on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it might be. Just go there, and also go to Wrestling Church FCB. That's where you can see all the shows, all the content, all the news. Obviously, we have Chronicles 2 coming up on the 16th of September. I want to make sure we have a big plug for that, because obviously Mr. Angel made his debut in 2023 on Sportzwire Radio. He had not been here in almost a year, and he came back, and he also challenged Disciple to a loser leaves town match. So, I mean, it's been the last couple of times we had GT Ministries coverage on Sportswire. It's like, I don't know how we top that. I mean, so we're going to try, but let me come back here to for you, Mr. Cobra, to Mr. Logan, because I got a few comments here from him first. Mr. Cobra, the Big Cheese will acknowledge this is going to be a tough night for the both of us, but I shall remain undefeated come the end of the night. He also wants to bring up something that I'm glad he did, which I want to refresh your memory on and tell me what you think. Going back a few years, time stood still when we clashed in a Royal Rumble a few years back. So, yes, I know it's going to be a rough and tough night. Do you have any memories of that for the audience that you might want to share with us here?
It was a rough and tough night, and unfortunately, the fans didn't get to see the true potential of myself and the Big Cheese. Unfortunately, two of the biggest, let's be honest, we were two of the biggest rhinos in that ring. And, it's a numbers game, and the numbers didn't add up against me and Big Cheese, and unfortunately, we both were eliminated. So, yeah, we had a brief encounter. So we had a bit of,
But how much have you thought about that moment? Because you guys have had this back and forth. He's even appeared on here on Sportzwire. He took a totally different tone. So I guess you kind of paid him back kindly and some. But I'm sure I'm going to get him on. I'm going to try to get him on next week. Not this weekend, but the following, because I want to promote the match, and we haven't had him on in a while as well. But how much have you thought about that moment, that brief moment in time, to that where it's going to all come to a collision here on the 30th of September?
It's been etched in the back of my mind since we locked eyes, since we first traded blows. It's been etched because nobody had rocked me like he rocked me. And I'm pretty sure nobody had rocked him like I rocked him.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a fair assessment, because I think some of the big men he's been in the ring with, they might be considered past tense at this point recently. But we'll come back to some of that here. Also, management would like to say, great to see that you're back in the hot seat. I think when you're with old school MC2 doing commentary, that's the hot seat. I think, by the way, when you're doing commentary in the Fountains Church in Bradford, that's more in the hot seat. I think here, listen, we don't argue with you, Joel. We love you, Joel, and it's going to be tough for me to pick a side here coming up on this match. I want to put it out there. This is going to be tough. You are certainly putting me, like, I guess I'm going to have to be Switzerland here, but this is going to be tough. Speaking of Switzerland and cheese, I mean, this is going to be tough. I want to see the match, but this is going to be tough. A tough, very tough one to call. I want to say hello to Skulls, the Soul Hunter from California. Good afternoon, gentlemen. He's very good friends with another big man that came on a few days ago, Vito Fratelli, who had just wrestled the former MLW champion, Mr. Alexander Hammerstone. So Vito is a good friend, and Skulls knows him very well. Michael knows how you doing. Michael, it has been a while, but I'm happy to be here with you. And Skulls said, this is for you, Joel, the Big Cheese Logan is going to get melted by the Cobra. Now, do you like grilled cheese? Are you a grilled cheese fan or what?
I'm a Philly steak kind of guy.
Oh, really? You know what? Believe it or not, as somebody who lives actually not too far from Philadelphia, technically, I've never been a Philly cheesesteak guy, so I guess might have to change that after what you do to him. And follow Joel Cobra, by the way, out there on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just follow this man, because look at the size of him. He's about 6'3". He's near 300 pounds. He dominates. He decimates. He's really everything and some. Just go out there and follow, and don't argue with him. Also, Skulls has another good one here. Skulls is throwing some good ones here tonight. Joel Cobra feels the venom in his veins. Yeah, that you definitely do have venom. I want to say hello to somebody else that is one of my favorites, Mr. Jam Dog. Jam Dog is and by the way, he knows the Big Cheese very well. So he says, good evening, gentlemen. And Skulls has another good one here. You play with a snake, you get bitten. Apparently. Well, I mean, we did see the Macho Man Randy Savage once get venomously bit by Jake the Snake's snake, so you never know that could happen. I want to say hello also to somebody out there in the Nemesis, James Taylor, all the way out from Alabama. And he also hosts his own show. And I keep telling Mr. James Taylor that it would be great to get the Big Cheese on. And it would also be great to get Joel Cobra. And also, he is a pro wrestler now for Big South Pro Wrestling. And he's also on YouTube with 41,000 subscribers. He's got 35,000 on TikTok. He's like the Kim Kardashian of social media and wrestling. Probably going to kill me for that. He's at Taft Taylor on YouTube, Taft_Taylor on Instagram. He says, would be interesting for James Taylor to come overseas and face off with these guys. Well, I don't know if he's doing the Franco Varga thing, but if Mr. Taylor can find a way to the UK, first we have to watch Joel Cobra and the Big Cheese Logan basically destroy each other. So I would say stay tuned for all of that here. I've got a ton of more comments, so let me try to work with people here. I have to say that this match has piqued my interest. Yeah, I mean, I would think so, right? Joel Cobra, the Big Cheese Logan, this is basically like worlds colliding almost. This is worlds colliding, war games, you name it, all in one here. Also, Big Cheese wants to say Jam Dog. Oh yes, he's going with his theme song. Da 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 da. Yeah, that is. I'm a fan of his theme song because we covered that here on Sportswire with that banana splits type of vibe. But I have to get to somebody that is also a member of the GT Ministries locker room, and he is commenting. He was my most recent GT Ministries guest a few weeks ago, Mr. Cobra, and obviously that's where he challenged Disciple to this Loser Leaves Town match coming up here on Chronicles 2, September the 16th, and that is none other than Mr. Gareth Angel. And Mr. Angel is here, and he says, I'll certainly be peeking through the curtain to watch this match. Now, would you have any advice from Mr. Angel to kind of not stand in you or Mr. Logan's way? Would that be a fair assumption, you think?
Keep far back, because when this happens, everyone's going to get hit. I'm going to get tunnel vision. I'm going after him. Like I said, Angel, you've never seen me like this.
I haven't seen you like this. And I've seen you in there with some really, really big tag teams. I've seen you and covered you in a lot of promotions. But this is a different Joel Cobra. And I want to be totally upfront here tonight on Sportswire Radio. We were speaking off the air, and I didn't know what Joel Cobra was going to say. This was totally like, for the wrestling fans out there, quote unquote, this was a shoot. I had no idea what his announcement was. I was thinking, well, maybe you're going to talk about, you're going to be the new promotion. Maybe you're going to talk about you got a new addition to the Mafia. Maybe you were going to talk about you like commentary more. You're going to do commentary. I had no idea what the announcement was here tonight. This is really one truly for the ages here. And also, Skulls, by the way, he's really poking the tiger here, or poking the cheese, the tribal cheese here, because he says, Big Cheese Logan needs an antidote when it comes to the Cobra. That's an interesting one. That's an interesting line here. But Mr. Logan would like to also say, the Tribal Cheese would like to thank GT Ministries for this great opportunity. I won't let you down. Do you want to say anything to management as well for granting you this wish?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you fans are going to have to see me dismantle and hurt another man. And then I'm going to have to ask for forgiveness after I have beaten him like no one has beaten him before. So I'm sorry.
Are you saying that you might have to be rebaptized again, basically, pretty much, after what you do to Mr. Logan?
Rev, there ain't enough holy water for what I'm going to do to the Big Cheese. There ain't enough.
So are you saying that this could even very well be the beginning and the end of the Big Cheese Logan in GT Ministries? Is that kind of what you're implying, sir?
We'll have to see. The 30th of September.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of great wrestling shows that are coming up, and I promise I'm going to get to some upcoming ones that Mr. Cobra is going to be a part of. But if I can be biased, this is one that I'm certainly very, very, very excited about. Because like I say, sometimes God works in mysterious ways. Sometimes it's about moving mountains, when the rumbles collide, when heaven and hell come together. When you feel something different, you feel the goosebumps, you feel the veins in your muscles, you start feeling something different, whether it's karma, whether it's chain reactions, I don't know. But I truly think, ladies and gentlemen, that 2023, the summer itself, is not going to be completed until we see Joel Cobra and the Big Cheese Logan, GT Ministries, the 30th of September. And that's why, again, you need to go to GT Ministries UK on all of their platforms, and also the Wrestling Church FCB. Just do it. Don't argue. Don't argue with the Big Cheese Logan. Don't argue with Joe Cobra. Just go out there and do it. Because you know what? You might need to say a prayer for both of these gentlemen. You might have to go and ask for forgiveness. Whatever it might be, just do it. I have a ton of comments here. So I'm going to get to them here because I have a ton of them here. Also, I want to give a big shout out to another one of my favorites who's here in the Mid-Atlantic. It would be Mr. Chase Wakefield. He is from VTW versus the World Wrestling. He is also out there as well for Uprising Wrestling. He's got a show coming up September the 9th. He's going to be out there, I believe, in West Virginia. So I want to say hello to Chase. Chase is also one of my favorites. He's also another guy that I'd like to call the Bitcoin billionaire. He's the double B. He's from the land of NFTs. And he might be the kind of guy that could fund maybe even you and the Big Cheese Logan here in the United States. So, Chase has got a lot of Bitcoin out there. So if he can spare some and we want to see this match here in my neck of the woods, I hope that Mr. Wakefield could help us out here. But I got a ton of more comments here, and I want to get to everybody because we are just going and running through the gauntlet here. I mean, I do like the Big Cheese as well. But Joe Cobra, after the line of the tribal cheese, sorry, cheese, I'm not a fan of Roadman, and saying that you haven't done a favor back to you. So I guess basically what he's trying to imply, I'm trying to parcel this out here. Forgive me, Michael. You know I love you. But I don't think he's a fan of Mr. Logan in this match, but he's going with you. I think that's kind of correct after reading this comment. You think, Joel?
I'd say he's a bit torn like yourself, but he's a good... If he were a betting man, he'd be winning.
Well, speaking of that here, somebody is putting me on the spot. That is Mr. Logan himself. Let's put the Rev on the spot. Whilst we both stare you down, who do I have my money on? Let me think about this for a minute. How much time do I have? How much opportunities do I have to talk about this match? I tell you what I will do, though. I'm going to tell you know what, Mr. Logan, and for you, Mr. Cobra, and maybe even for management out there, I will actually have some money here. I actually do have it. And I will actually say that I'm going to put my money on this being a great match. I'm not that stupid, Mr. Big Cheese, and saying who I think is going to win and the other guy's going to want to eat me and kill me because I'm not Chris Lappin, who you dealt with him and some last week in training. I'm going to certainly say that I'm going to put my money on this being a great match. I'm going to put my money on that the fans are the winners. The fans are the winners in a dream match that has been long talked about here on Sportswire Radio. So that would be my answer, Mr. Big Cheese. Also, I want you to come back on and promote the match. So if I say Mr. Cobra is going to win because he's in the chair, you're going to get mad and not want to come on Sportswire. So, and I know that when you come on in the chair next week, it's going to be the same question. So I'm sure we'll certainly figure it out here. But I also want to say hello to another big man who's also from the state of Iowa. He is 5'11". That's right, 385 pounds, which would translate to a lot of pounds in the UK. That is Omen Black. The Big Cheese is going to beat your ass like an abusive stepfather. Now, I don't think you have a stepfather, though, right? I don't think that's the case. So, and I think I know who your father is, actually. So we're going to leave the fourth wall out there. So that would really be an interesting conversation for a different time. And hello to your father, by the way. He's actually a fan of mine. So I want to make sure I say hello to him. But we love Mr. Black, but I have a feeling that this will be another good way to promote the match. But, Mr. Angel will like another comment if you don't mind, because I am going to transition. I'm going to pivot in a few minutes. But once the Modern Day Mafia have kicked ass at Enso coming up this week in a 0 day, and I've bodied someone in Bradford, which I think is going to be on the card you're going to be on this weekend. See you at Salt for some beers. So would that be a place you'd want to go to, which I believe you might have a know or two about?
I mean, I'm always down for some celebratory beers.
Well,
and
so
it's a lot sweeter once you
can I ask you a fun question for a second to kind of maybe pivot away from who I should pick in this match, this epic match for the ages? Favorite beer?
It's a tough one. See, I'm a Tetley kind of guy or a John Smith's.
Okay. I didn't see you as a Heineken guy, so I figured that was going to be at least one of those type of answers. Okay, well, I'm sure. Let's hope that whoever covers the tab has a good time. Also, Omen would like to say, I acknowledge that that my tribal cheese will whoop your ass, boy. We're going the Lions Den tonight on Sportswire. I had no idea I was going to expect this here. And also, Omen's a big fan of the Big Cheese, and I love the Big Cheese too. But I also love Joel Cobra of the Modern Day Mafia, and technically, I've known Joe Cobra longer than the Big Cheese Logan. Not saying I'm picking Joe Cobra, but I will say I've actually known Mr. Cobra longer than Mr. Logan. So, and also Mr. Cobra, by the way, he did coin the phrase that I was the Ryan Seacrest of UK pro wrestling. So, I mean, I have to at least give Mr. Cobra a chance in this match. I can't say that Mr. Cobra is going to lose here. And
Are you pleading the fifth there, Rev? Is that what you're saying? Are you pleading the fifth?
yes, I am pleading the fifth. I came out and said, listen, I'm putting my money on this being a great match. And there's a lot of money here, I actually have to say. I always come prepared. So I always come prepared for those answers. But we are on Sportswire Radio, and I'll come back to Mr. Logan. But I have to bring up Nonstop Action Wrestling. As you also know, another company that I have been covering a long time in addition to GT Ministries. And you're finally, I feel like you and Nonstop Action Wrestling, it's almost like we've stopped, we started, we paused, we couldn't mention it. We've had you guys go out there and, different wrestlers in that company, by the way, had challenged you, and they said the Mafia and, Callum and Jake still we've seen in GT Ministries in the past, certainly Kyle Kennedy when he was active. But finally, the Modern Day Mafia have arrived to Nonstop Action Wrestling, literally just about 48 hours from now in Swinton, and tell us about it, because you have an open challenge. And Joe, after the way you have been packing a punch tonight and the way you've been swinging toward the Big Cheese Logan, I don't even know who would respond to this challenge. But talk about our long-awaited debut in Nonstop Action Wrestling coming up this Saturday, and what we can expect, especially for those people that actually dare to accept this challenge.
So yeah, this Saturday, you see Modern Day Mafia. You see myself, Joel Cobra. You see the smiling assassin, Dave Douglas. And of course, you see the chief tormentor, Uncle Ralph. You get to see us in all our glory with our gold, gracing the presence of Ensor. And you know what? When we step through them ropes and we stand in the middle of that ring and we look and we watch who has the balls to step through that curtain to face myself and Dave Douglas, they have a death wish. We're coming to Ensor and we're putting their tag team division on notice.
Their tag team division hasn't been on really any radar until you guys come in. No disrespect to Enso. We love Enso on Sportswire, but you guys, the size, the strength, I mean, this is kind of almost like totally changes the game for their roster. I mean, and I almost even I don't even know, should I speculate who should challenge you guys? I mean, to me, this is just one of these where it's almost like if you're going to accept this challenge, Joel, I guess you're almost plotting your own funeral, no?
Pretty much. Like I said, whoever accepts it, you need to be ready for a fight. You need to be ready, because I'm seeing this Saturday as a warm-up to the 30th of September where I go to war. So every time I step through them ropes, I'm inflicting pain, I'm inflicting punishment, and I'm sending a message to you, Shed of the Table. I'm sending a message. Every time I hit, every time I strike, every time they get kicked, suplexed, you name it, I'm thinking of you.
If I'm the Big Cheese right now, and I know he's the tribal cheese, he's the head of the Ched, acknowledge Bree, and I acknowledge on all those fronts. I really do. I love the Big Cheese Logan, but Joe Cobra tonight, and I've known Joe Cobra a while. I've known Joe Cobra for almost 2 years, and Mr. Angel, who's here, can vouch for me on that if he desires to do that. And this is a different Joe Cobra. I'm telling you, this is a different Joe Cobra. This is a Joe Cobra that I didn't know existed. And I've seen you in other promotions other than GT Ministries. I've seen you destroy tag teams that were never the same again afterwards. I've seen what you've done in promotions where you basically just laid waste to people and never saw them again. I mean, what you've done, but tonight, hands down, can't compare. Hands down, just can't compare. That's all I can say here. I have more comments here, which I want to get to. A genuine question here: is the modern day mafia ringside during this bout? So that's a good question because obviously you got Dave Douglas, the Smiling Assassin, you got AJ Grimm, you got Uncle Ralph. I mean, what do you say to that question? That's a very fair point.
It is a very fair point. We've waited years to get our hands on each other one-on-one. I'm not going to do anything that's going to diminish that. I'm not going to give you an excuse for whatever reason. So I will be accompanied to the ring, and then they will be told to leave because I will face you one-on-one. So yes, they'll be there and they'll be gone.
You know, we're going to see you August the 19th at NSA. We're going to see you September the 1st, CWE defending the titles. We're going to see you in a couple of other places before the 30th. So I almost have to ask you then, every match upcoming literally is basically a march until this match. So maybe, objectively speaking, and the Big Cheese is going to be in the ring in a few other places, and I'm going to certainly give him the opportunity the following week to respond to some of these things. But is it fair to say, let's be objective for a second, that you might have an advantage here because you're the one that's going to be in the ring more than he will be before the 30th of September? Is that a fair statement to make?
I'd say no. I'd say you're actually doing him a disservice. You know, let's not forget the Ched at the table. He's a fighter. You know.
Oh, I know. Trust me, but you're going
fights,
to be in the ring more times than him. You're going to be in the ring more times than him if I were to count between today and the 30th of September. Does that give you an advantage?
I'd say it probably gives him an advantage because I could be fatigued. You know, let's not forget. I don't know who's going to walk out that curtain on Saturday on the 19th for Ensor. It could be anybody. Hell, it could even be Big Cheese.
You know, you stole my thunder. You stole my thunder. Now, I know Joshua Snow, and certainly he's a businessman. We're all businessmen. But if that would happen, I mean, I would kind of, I mean, you know, I might actually be okay with this in a way because I probably could actually watch the show because Enshaw streams their shows on Instagram usually. But I mean, what a way to blow the hype here, I guess, if that were the case. But maybe you even could make the argument the Big Cheese doesn't want no part of you right now.
We'll never know. You know, I don't know what I've got to prepare for. So every time, especially the 19th, it's an open challenge. It could be anyone. Hell, it could be Gareth Angel. It could have finished disposing of someone, jump on the motorway, grab a friend. Let's be honest. Angel's not, you know, shy of a few friends.
Listen, Joel, that's a fair point. Mr. Angel certainly has always got friends. And it would be a rather odd pairing, but maybe a pairing that would have some things in common in Mr. Angel and Mr. Logan. But I don't know. I don't. That's an interesting discussion. I mean, I'm sure somebody in NSA is going to obviously let us know on 0 day itself. So maybe, so you have no inclination, no thoughts on who this could be then? None.
Nothing. I'm going there to fight. I'm going there to make a statement. Just like Mr. Douglas, we're going there to get our name out, to dominate. We'll even have a party. Why not? You know.
Maybe you guys will have a party in the ring because you guys just won't want to leave. You'll basically nearly kill whoever's going to be and accepts this challenge and just decide, you know what, we're going to hold court. Nobody's going to argue with the mafia, and you guys are just going to, you know, sit there the whole night. Who knows?
Let's be honest, Rev. Every time the modern day mafia enter the ring, it's a party.
That's true. Listen, and that's why we love the modern day mafia. We want people to follow Joel Cobra on Instagram at Joel_Cobra. Also, Facebook, give them a friend request. Also, support the Modern Day Mafia. The Modern Day Mafia are out there on social media. Make sure you follow them. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They're on Twitter as well. They're on a whole list of platforms. You have to follow them. They have some merchandise out there. They got some of the best merchandise out there on there at Modern Day Mafia MDM. That is Modern Day Mafia MDM on Instagram. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you're on Sportswire Radio, I hope you continue to give us a sub on YouTube at Sportswire Radio. And I have an announcement in 15 minutes. You had a big announcement tonight, but I came packing with an announcement, which I promise you is going to be a big announcement that's really going to be, I think, in a way, change the face of Sportswire Radio and who we've interviewed. So I promise you, no, I can't top the Big Cheese Logan, but I'm going to try what you just said. I'm gonna try to top that announcement of you in the Big Cheese Logan September the 30th for GT Ministries UK, but I'm gonna certainly do my best. Also, I'm on Instagram at the Sports Report 2021, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. We are here with Joel Cobra of the Modern Day Mafia. Let me come back to some comments here. Omen Black would like to say, if the Tribal Cheese needs some backup, just let Omen Black know. I'll make my way over to the pond to keep the Mafia away from the ring. Now, he's a part of a group called the House of Wolves, so it's kind of the Wolves and the Mafia, but I mean, do you think Mr. Logan could be recruiting help? Because if you have Mafia at ringside, maybe Mr. Logan needs somebody to watch his back?
We're going to turn the wolves into little puppies. So there's going to be no one who can help.
Well, I'm not going to argue with the Don if that's still a thing.
The Don is there. Did you know he's actually a dog handler? So, he'd make them wolves purr.
Well, what did I say last time when the Don came up? I wasn't going to argue with the Don, obviously coming from New York and knowing how that whole Mafia underworld works. I'm going to say what I said last time when the Don came up. I'm just not going to say anything to disagree with that. My good friend Chase Wakefield would like to say, I would love to step through the curtain and make my international debut. Well, you know what? I would certainly say if anybody is out there and wants to hear a Bitcoin billionaire and see his ring abilities, I would certainly love to see that happen. Obviously, Mr. Wakefield is on some social media. I like people to follow Mr. Wakefield himself. He is on Instagram. He's at Chase Wakefield _PW. That is Chase Wakefield _PW. He is going to be in the ring once again, as I said, for Uprising Pro Wrestling. They're going to be taking place on September the 9th. He'll be wrestling Van Hansen. So he'll be there to take on Van Hansen, who's V to the H. So definitely look forward to that match. He's Chase Wakefield _PW. He's also on Facebook at Matthew Burford. So make sure you follow him and give him a friend request. He's on YouTube as well. So if I screwed up on anything, Chase, let me know. But definitely all good stuff there. Mr. Angel says, you boys have 10 stone and 10 feet away from everyone. And so, yeah, that's pretty much a fair assessment, right? That I think the locker room is going to kind of go like this and just go like this and this and this. Also, I have a good one here from Mr. Logan. And the fans are the ones that will get the reward come September. Mr. Cobra and myself are training hard. If Cobra is the one to dethrone the Tribal Cheese of his streak, then I shall offer him a handshake. Now, last part to that first. Would you accept that handshake? Should Mr. Logan be able to get up on his own and you were to basically dethrone this streak, this is one of the most important streaks in the UK? Excellent point. Would you accept that handshake? Should you're able to dethrone the streak and defeat the Tribal Cheese?
You know what, Rev? There ain't no answer to that until that moment happens.
Okay, all right. I'll give you that much. I'll give you that. But, talk about the training because, I saw you train this past week against a guy that is named Chris Lappin, who they refer to as the Broken but Glorious host. He does BBG wrestling. He's interviewed a lot of wrestlers like yourself. Many of the people that have come on Sportswire over the past 5 years have come on that show. And obviously, I guess he's doing some training, I guess, to maybe kind of get a sense of what it's like in the ring. He's also done some work with the Playboy Prince, Lance Rivera. I know you obviously know Lance Rivera very well. So anything you want to share about what you did to Mr. Lappin? Because I'm surprised Mr. Lappin is standing still after what you did to, at least at the end of the video. Maybe not so much the beginning, but the end of the video finally had something there. So maybe talk about training with Chris Lappin.
Yeah, well, Rumor has it he's still got a really bad headache. When headbutt me, you know, it didn't go well for him. Hey, I felt it. He's got a hard head. I'll give him his due. He's got a hard head. But yeah, it didn't go well for him. So yeah, I've been training really hard actually over the last few months. I've been training at a company. Like I said, I've been going over to Liverpool at a company called Wrestle Island Island Temple.
I know Wrestle Island very well. Sure, yeah. Absolutely. RPD, Lance Rivera, a lot of people from the roster. RPD is the champion there now. Sure, absolutely.
So they've got a training school called Island Temple, and they run sessions on
Sundays, right?
Well, no, they do Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
You know, so they start off with a novice, and then it goes into a more advanced session. I think they've got Matt Fox, who's going to be their Saturday coach.
Yes, I know Matt Fox very well.
Got some good talent there for the Saturday, and then once you know you've got your Saturday over, comes Sunday, and Sunday it's a killer, but you know it's good because you learn from probably one of the hardest striking guys in the UK of Sean Only.
And we know Sean Only. Why? Because who's the head trainer in GT Ministries? Sean Only. So that's a really, and Sean Only is a guy that Sean Only is a guy, and you know this, so I feel very comfortable in saying this. Sean Only is a guy that he is literally as straight shooter as they come, and he is literally a guy that he pulls figuratively and literally no punches. So when you learn from a Sean Only, in my opinion at least, and maybe you can back me up on this if you like, Sean Only is probably one of the best people you could learn from because he literally is going to give it to you almost kind of in a way, like in my opinion, for trainers that nobody else will.
100%. You know, Sean is legit. He's passionate. He's, you know, he goes through everything rigorously until it's right and how it should be. You know, I've got no but, you know, respect for Sean.
Absolutely.
Hence why I travel, you know, 2 hours, you know, to get there on Sunday, 2 hours back home. You know, my days are the long days, but, you know, you sit under that learning tree and, you know, you get to learn tech, you get to learn the fundamentals of wrestling as well as the psychology. There's no better place to be. And aside from everything else, Island Temple, it's just got a really good bunch of people who, you know, there's no egos. There's no rubbish that you get. You know, there's no politics. It's people who want to train, want to, you know, better the wrestling journey. And it's just a great setup. So, you know, big shout out to Jody and Pete, who, you know.
Oh, absolutely. No question about that. And I definitely, Wrestle Island has been a company I've spoke about quite a bit in the past because obviously RPD, you know, has been a very good friend to mine, and I, you know, really supported his work. And Lance Rivera, we've had him on a bunch of times. So I know the company and a lot of the Kingdom of Wrestling people who have a show coming up, by the way, next weekend are in Wrestle Island. So I know a lot of that crowd in Wrestle Island, and I'm a huge fan of everything there. But, you know, you said something interesting. If you don't mind, I'd like to go back to something you said. Now, I'll come back to some of the stuff you have. I'm going to say it in a way that maybe you'd appreciate. And especially, I have some wrestlers here that are tuned in from different places. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on it. You know, you said almost you're going in from a learning tree and learning from Sean Only. And I find that interesting because you have a background in wrestling. Your family is obviously, you have been one of these guys that is kind of, you're a second generational wrestler. You're a wrestler that has been born into wrestling. So like when I hear you say something like what you just said, I find that very fascinating. And talk about that because, you know, not everybody would say something like that to the way you just said, especially somebody in yourself who has actually, you know, been in wrestling. It's not like you're just somebody that, you know, a couple of months ago decided, hey, I'm going to be a wrestler. Even, you know, like you trained with Chris, and I love Chris Lappin, but, you know, he's a podcaster. He's not to your history and your experiences. So can you maybe talk about what you meant by that and why even somebody like you even learns despite the family name that you have in the business?
So I say this because I don't have an ego. You know, I want to learn. I want to better myself. And the day you say, I've learned everything in wrestling, it's time to get your boots, put them in a cupboard, sit on a chair and be grumpy. because you never learn wrestling. You never you don't complete. There's new things, there's new ways. Someone comes up with a new flashy way to do a move, and all of a sudden, everyone over the pond, from UK to America to Japan, everywhere, copies that. So learning is an ongoing journey. No matter how long you've done it, no matter if you're 1 week in or 30 years in, 20 years in, whatever, you still learn. And with someone like Sean, who's got, well, let's be honest, he's been at the top of the game. He's been over to
a long time. Yeah, a long time.
He's been over to the States. He's been top promotions in the UK. So who better to learn from than someone who's been there, done it, got the T-shirt?
He's had a great career, and he's had, I think, such a versatile career. Leave aside where he's traveled, but just the type of matches that he's had in his career and what he brings to the table. So the fact that you have somebody like him as a trainer, so I hope I can say this, at least from GTM side. If you're out there training under his tutelage, like, you're really so lucky to be able to go out and learn from a Sean Only, because there's a lot of trainers out there. There's a lot of people that certainly can help you learn, and God bless them. I would certainly never tell anybody not to go out there and learn. But Sean Only has such a really special background, and that's why I wanted to spend a minute or two on that, because again, I find it so interesting that you said that. And just to follow up with that, one more point, was that something you were taught at an early age, even though you might have kind of always known wrestling from a certain level, that always learn if there's somebody that knows something, or kind of talk about that? Because I find that also fascinating, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no. So obviously, if you go and you travel around, you pick up different experiences. You can then bundle them experiences into a way that works for yourself. That's, it makes sense. It's logical. There's a lot of things with British wrestling where there's no psychology. And I'm not. This isn't me shooting on British wrestling. It's not.
No. I watch a lot of wrestling. I mean, there's certain people. I mean, I had Paul Malin on. I'll get to my announcement in a few minutes. I mean, certain guys have it, but it's a different. Everybody learns differently, right? That's the old adage, right? Everybody learns differently.
100%. And like I say, like there's certain matches that just the good matches, but there's no psychology. It's like, why is he doing that? Why is that the finish? Stuff like that. But that's going by the by. So to learn and to travel around different schools and different places with different people, you're just expanding your knowledge, and it's a great way of being a better all-round wrestler. My personal opinion, some people might say I'm talking absolute tosh. Other people might go, you know what? Yeah, you're right. It is what it is.
I believe, and I want to ask you about CWE before I get to my announcement. I realize time is obviously precious, but I always believe in anything in life, even if you might know a lot, or even if you might be skilled. I always believe that you can learn. I always believe that there's always somebody out there that knows more than you, or maybe is better than you at something. So, why not ask them questions? Why not ask them and say, you know what? How did you do this? How did you do that? What could I do differently? Because there's always people out there. And I always even ask people with my interviews, is there anything I could do differently? Is there anything you'd like me to, I could have asked you? Is there anything I could have done, just an approach or anything like that? So I'm always a believer. And I remember my father was a musician. He played the drums, right? And he always had this adage that basically there's always somebody better than you, right? So there's always someone out there. Like Sean Only obviously has phenomenal talents. I don't think in wrestling there's people that are, you can debate who's the best and who's not the best, but there's always somebody, though, that has maybe more knowledge. So I think what you said is so fascinating. I think everybody in life can learn from this, whether you're a musician, whether you're an artist, whether you're an actor, whether you're a wrestler, an athlete, whatever it might be. I believe that adage could apply to anybody. That's why I was so happy that I got a chance to ask you that. But I want to ask you about something else coming up. September the 1st, our old friends at CWE, you're defending those tag team championships you had right on your shoulders there for a while. Let's talk about that. What can we expect? I know what we can expect, but what can the audience expect over there at Championship Wrestling Entertainment for the Mafia's return?
So, the 1st of September, we return to the Fleetwood Cons Club.
Yes.
And management have picked as victims. And you're right, I say victims. The reason I say victim, you've given me Posty Malone.
I know Posty Malone very well. I know him very well.
You've given me Adrian Sparks. You've given us Fiery Delivery. All I'm saying is I hope you've got a return address because we're going to send them packing. Going to be remaining still the CWE Tag Team Champions. You see, I don't care who they put us against. Dave doesn't care. Uncle Ralph doesn't care. Hell, the Hitman, AJ Grimm, doesn't care. Because come the 1st of September, you're going to see dominance. You're going to see people getting hurt. And Posty Malone, I like you. I do like you. And I'm sorry I'm going to be the one that has to hurt you and retire you because you're not going to be the same after you've been in a match with myself and Dave Douglas.
I think it sounds like what I asked about 10 minutes ago. It's almost like the pre-warm-up tour to you and Big Cheese Logan and Posty Malone, especially, a guy I know very well. I don't know what he knows he's getting into here. And it's a big responsibility to be a champion. And you and Dave have that. And that's why I think there's going to be further incentive here coming up on the 1st of September, which is actually literally now, just over 2 weeks from now. So we're literally going to see you guys in action right after NSAW, 2 weekends from after that. We're going to see you in there in the CWE defending those championships.
You see, when we became the tag team champions, myself and Dave, we knew we had a target on our back. But with the Mafia, we've always got targets. It's how we overcome them targets.
Well, that's why you want to follow Championship Wrestling Entertainment on Instagram at official_CWE_ for more information on the show. Also on Facebook as well, Championship Wrestling Entertainment. It is a stacked card as always, and we look forward to that. So, I think we're going to see you at a number of different places, but there's one company in particular that I want to ask your opinion on, which is Bolton Town Wrestling. Obviously, we kind of referenced the Don there, and Bolton Town has always been one of my favorites on Sportswire, like GTM, because in Bolton Town, I don't want to reveal the person, but there's always a little birdie that always gives me, how can I put this, a nice thing in the emails to go and watch Bolton Town wrestling shows. Now we have Pick Your Poison coming up the same day, but yeah. And by the way, we say hello to your dog. By the way, obviously your dog is certainly probably warming up to eat the big cheese. Probably your dog likes cheese, right? And probably wants to go after the big cheese. But I mean, I want to get to my announcement right after this. But Bolton Town wrestling. Yet you have a thought or two coming up here on that. Obviously, we saw you in the Rumble, and there was a lot there that went on. I got to watch the whole show. And anything you want to add on Bolton Town wrestling?
So yeah, obviously myself and Dave made our return to Bolton Rumble, and unfortunately we were unlucky. Big time Bentley.
Yep, the man who won 2 Rumbles in a really, really short span of time. I mean, he won it in just about 2.5 weeks. I think it was 2 Rumbles in 2.5 weeks. Yep.
I'll give him his dues there. It's gone from almost main event Bentley to.
Hey, boy, you really do watch my shows because I've always called Ben like the almost man. He's almost like he was like the modern day Lex Luger for so long.
He has, and you know what? I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's evaded him for so long. But you know what? I like Bentley. I like him.
Yes,
he's a hard worker.
He's coming back on here very soon as well. He's coming back in your chair, so I'm not going to say anything negative toward him at this point.
Unfortunately, though, I didn't like Bentley at the Bolton Rumble. No, because 3 times I took the Claymore and I was eliminated. And I don't forget that. Don't forget that, Bentley. So somewhere down that line, our paths will cross. And I owe you.
Another big man, another guy that's a big deal right now. Another guy that's one of our favorites on Sportswire. Another guy to me who I look at as the measuring stick. Now, if I could ask you very quickly, you have a thought or two on him and Rarebit, and certainly a thought or two on him and Mr. Johnson coming up in those 2 promotions, if you don't mind?
I mean, if you go on Bentley's past,
The
Yeah,
answer is going to be yeah. I know what the answer is going to be.
oh, he was nearly a champion, but
Yep.
they've retained. You know, I don't know what to say. You know, Bentley. To be fair, Bentley were a little bit wired differently. He were wired differently at GTM in the Rumble. He were wiredly differently at BTW. You know, he had that
Well,
fire.
the Bolton Town, he pulled like a Shawn Michaels there. I mean, he was in there. I asked him that question here. Like, how did you pull that off to be there as long as he did?
He dug deep. You know, I saw the fire in his eye, which kind of brings me. You know, I don't know where I am with Bentley. I don't. You know, he wanted it a lot more than a lot of them in that ring, and could this be the year of Bentley?
You
Could it
know,
be?
I think him winning the 2 Rumbles, I agree with you. It does not put him anymore as the almost man, the nearly guy. I think you can't say somebody is an almost person because he won 2 Rumbles, which is almost, think about it. And I said it here before I get to my announcement. It's historic to win 2 Rumbles in a few weeks. It's historic to win 1 Rumble your whole career. He does 2 of them. So to me, no matter what, at the end of the day, he's kind of put himself now back where he's now right there. So ultimately, at this point now, he said it here. Well, now I've got to go finish the job. We'll obviously find out. But I realize we're in the interest of time. So I want to obviously put my announcement out there because I think my announcement, while I can't quite top you and the Big Cheese logo, because that's a dream match of mine pretty much for a long time. But I have a big guest coming on here who is a legend in the UK pro wrestling scene. You might have heard of his name. His name is Mr. Dean Allmark. And that's right, Dean Allmark, the legendary Dean Allmark, is coming to Sportswire Radio September the 4th, 6 p.m. British Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and he's going to talk about all his career. He's going to talk about everything upcoming. He's going to talk about the 40 moves of Dean Allmark. He's going to talk about everything he's done in the career. And think about this. He has been wrestling since the year 2000. Think about the opponents. Think about the matches. Think about what he's done in this sport. Think about what he's done. I mean, this is a real treat. If you were a wrestling fan, I don't even care if you're a UK pro wrestling fan. I don't care if you're an American pro wrestling fan. I don't care who you are. This is an absolute real treat to have on the legendary Dean Allmark. I mean, I don't even know how to top it. I'm going to try to top it. But I want people in the meantime to follow Dean Allmark, which is very easy to do on Instagram at Dean Allmark. In fact, he's so big, Dean Allmark is actually verified. Dean Allmark has a verified check on Instagram. That tells you how big of a deal Dean Allmark is. And I want to thank, by the way, somebody special for giving us this opportunity. That was Mr. Luke Leland. Luke Leland, you might have heard the name. He's obviously done some wrestling. He's a filmmaker, and he put my name out there. He said, I know this guy, Tom Bryce. He's been interviewed by me. I have interviewed a lot of other wrestlers, and he thinks very highly of my work. And Mr. Allmark watched some of my clips, and apparently he watched some stuff with Mr. Logan. He's seen some stuff with Mr. Angel. You as well, Mr. Cobra, because your name came up as well. And he said, you know what? I want to speak with Mr. Tom Bryce. So I want to say thank you, Luke Leland. I want people to follow Luke Leland on Instagram as well. Please follow Luke. His family have been big supporters of mine. He's always talking to me, just giving me kind words, random intelligence, and everything else. Luke Leland 1 on Instagram. Just follow him, and Dean Allmark. In fact, Dean Allmark's so big, he's even got an Instagram page dedicated to his career matches as well, which is also Dean_Allmark_wrestling_systems, where you can find out full matches, highlights. I mean, he's got everything out there, and we're going to talk all about it and some. So thank you, Luke Leland. I want to get to some comments here. I want to say hello, by the way, to Davey Blaze, by the way. He's in the house. I want to say hello to Davey, and I think I owe Davey also an appearance on Sportswire. So I want to message Davey when we get off the air, and I'm going to see if we can get him on in the month of September, because he was one of my more entertaining guests on Sportswire, and I feel like I need to speak with him. So I want to make sure I make that happen here. And also, Big Cheese would like to say, yes, Mr. Blaze, get back on the show. Yes, and also Blaze Cheese versus Cobra. So are we saying triple threat now? No, I think it's supposed to be you and Big Cheese Logan. Let's not change the terms. I want to see one-on-one Joel Cobra and the Big Cheese Logan. And yes, Dean Allmark, absolutely legit legend. This is like, to me, like a real honor. Like I am like, to me, there's very few people that could top having Dean Allmark on. I don't even think Johnny Storm could top this. This is how big of a, I mean, and Johnny Storm is a guy that's been on
Massive.
the list. Like, but this is like really big. When you're verified that you're a real person, that tells you how big of a deal this is. So thank you, Luke Leland. Thank you, Dean Allmark. So before I get to closing thoughts here and a few more words for Mr. Logan, is there anywhere else that we can see you and the Mafia upcoming before the 30th of September?
Well, potentially. You see, back early this year, you might remember a promotion in the Northeast, and they decided to, what was their word? Oh, yeah, break out.
Yeah, I heard of them. Yeah, I heard of that company. I heard of them. Know them very well.
And, you know, myself and Mr. Douglas, we had a match against an old friend, Slugger.
Oh, I know that guy very well. Yeah, no,
well. You might have seen him, you know.
Yeah, I had him many times on Sportzwire. I know him very, very well. Sure.
And he brought his mystery partner out. Who did it turn out to be? Well, it turned out to be a reunion of the modern day Mafia and the working class militia.
I've seen that story before. In fact, I've seen it here up close live. I know that story.
And you see, that day, you know, we made history. We beat. That's right. We beat the working class militia.
I've heard that story before on other promotions. I've heard about that. Sure.
And, you know, whilst all four of us were like, this were a war, we've done it, it's over, we was attacked. That's right, Rev. Someone had the gall to attack myself and Dave Douglas just after we'd been through a war. And that was the cowboy, Tim Strange.
Oh, I know the cowboy Tim Strange. I know him very well. Interesting. He has some real gumption there, no, you think?
Well, it gets better than that because his tag partner, Asylum, decided to beat us down. In fact, I got hit in the back of the head with a cowbell. A cowbell, Rev. This wasn't a fist. No. This guy decides to attack me from behind because, let's face it, all cowboys are cowards.
They are called cowboys. I mean, yeah.
Well, let's face it. Lawless are going to be appearing at Breakout Show 2.
And that's September the 3rd. That's coming up here. That's in another also couple of weeks. That weekend, that September 1st, CWE, and September the 3rd, Breakout. Yeah, I mean, that's some interesting places that you're going to be at there.
And in that show at Breakout 1, the Lawless didn't go against us. No. They just chose to interfere and attack us because they went against First Class. They went against Champagne Charlie.
Oh, I know Champagne Charlie very well. I know Champagne Charlie.
Partner. And guess what? You know, they decided to beat them down. So we thought we'd go
Garrett the Nomad, know those guys very, very well. Another two gentlemen that I've had on many times on Sportswire. Yep.
We respect him, you see. So what did we do? We came out to make the save. The cowboy and his friend Asylum, Lawless, ran away because we were there face to face. They didn't want any of this. So I grabbed the microphone and I says, make the match. Make the match between the modern day Mafia and Lawless. Let us bring law to the lawless. And what did they say? They said no. They said no. So me and my friend, Mr. Douglas, we're going to buy some tickets. We're going to go sit in the Sinfonia Suite. We're going to sit ringside, and we're going to see the Lawless up close and personal. So, yeah, we've got bones to pick with them, Tom. We've got bones.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if I'd want to be them. And I guess the old adage, like the Clash famously sang, I fought the law, but I don't think the law is going to win here. I think that the Mafia, with the mood you're in tonight, I would certainly tread very lightly, and I would like to see that match happen. As a heck of a lot of other people would like to see that match happen. Obviously, at Breakout Pro Wrestling on their Instagram page and their Facebook page, let them know for sure. And also, I want to clarify what the Big Cheese had to say. He was asking Davey Blaze who he thought would win between you and Cobra. So I want to apologize on that. I want to get to a few other comments before I get to a couple of more things with Mr. Joel Cobra. And by the way, follow him on Instagram, Joel_Cobra, Joel Cobra _pro on Twitter. Also, Joel Cobra on Facebook, Modern Day Mafia MDM on Instagram, Modern Day Mafia on Facebook. Also, GT Ministries UK at all social media platforms. NSOR Wrestling UK on Twitter, Instagram. In Twitter, it's NSOR_UK. Also, Nonstop Action Wrestling on Facebook, Nonstop Action Wrestling Universe on Facebook as well. Big Cheese doesn't fear a man with mouse ears. You know, I don't know if you have mouse ears.
Mice eat cheese. So what you're saying is I'm going to win.
Boom roasted. Okay, he says, I'll rip your rat tail right off. Listen here with those tiny ears, kiddo. You wouldn't stand a chance in the ring with me, let alone Big Cheese Logan. The way I see it, it's a walk in the park for Logan. Omen Block is an interesting guy. He's interesting. I mean, I know it's his show on Sportswire, but that's some interesting comments there. I'm gonna leave that alone for a second. I want to come back also and say hello to, again, Mr. Angel. I think Mr. Angel had missed a comment there. Okay, so I got all that. I think we've got you. Breakout Pro Wrestling. Hope to see you September 1st. CWE defending the tag titles. Very excited though about this Saturday, August the 19th, coming up, Open Challenge. We'll see what the future holds in Bolton Town Pro Wrestling. We're going to see you maybe in some other places. To date, obviously, Big Cheese Logan. I kind of want to go with some closing thoughts here on this. And I know that Mr. Logan's going to be back here in this chair to respond. So I know that he's going to be here very soon. So in the meantime, I want to give you this opportunity to say, any parting shots for now toward the Big Cheese Logan in lieu of his return to Sportswire Radio, where he responds back to you, Mr. Cobra?
I'll do my talking on September the 30th. I'm going to be hitting the gym. I'm going to be training. Like I said, this is a war that I am training for, and I intend to win.
You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I've pretty much said it all here. This is a match that, again, I think if you're a true wrestling fan, you are going to want to see this match. If you are a true wrestling fan, you have not gotten an opportunity to see what two big men can do in the ring. Just go out and buy a ticket. Over 100 tickets already sold on the 30th of September. GT Ministries here. Joel Cobra and the Big Cheese Logan. I promise you, this is going to be one for the ages. And what have we said for all this time? Needs more Mafia. Well, you got your wish, ladies and gentlemen, because the Mafia are going to be here a lot over the next several weeks. And I think Joel Cobra is healthy for the first time in a long time. And I think that this is going to be something I think a lot of wrestling fans are finally going to be happy to see here. And the Big Cheese also says here, which I could not agree more, Cobra versus Cheese is a legit draw. And there's very few matches to me that are legit draws. This is one of them. This is one of those true attraction matches. You just love those big men attraction matches. This is going to be that match, I promise you, that's going to deliver all the hype and some here. And also, Davey Blaze wants to say second Dan Black Belt Scenery Master eggs on legs. So yeah, I could certainly see that though. And the Big Cheese enjoyed the show. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the show because September 30th is now less than 6 weeks from now. So we might have to wonder how many more shows are going to be left that we'll see you guys both in one piece. And obviously we've long talked about the fact Joel Cobra being healthy. We've got it. We've got our wish. This could very well be kind of the moments where Joel Cobra establishes himself, maybe on that level at the expense of the Big Cheese Logan. I don't know, but you've obviously talked about a lot. You're a very busy man. You're going to go back and kick some ass here, I'm sure. You're going to play with your dog as well, but let me give you some closing thoughts here. Anything else you want to plug, share, say? And I always love when you come on, and you definitely delivered and some tonight. I mean, I was really floored at this announcement. So I don't even know if Dean Olmark's announcement can top this one, but obviously I want to give you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, say? Floor is yours, and I can't thank you enough.
So September the 1st, we return, like I said, to Fleetwood Cons to face Fiery Delivery. We're going to smoke them. We're going to end them. That's going to be the end of them. I'm looking forward to returning to Fleetwood, and I'm looking forward to leaving Fleetwood with this. Now, you also mentioned that the 30th of September, we're at GTM against the Big Cheese, but also GTM September the 23rd, we are actually going to be in a nice little town of Stockton.
Oh, I know Stockton very well. Yes, that's a wrestling church show, correct?
It is. It's St. Paul's Church.
Okay.
Tickets are available. It's obviously 23rd of September. You know,
GT Ministries UK. We're going to go for all platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Even you can get more information on September 23rd. You know what I love, by the way, real quick about GT Ministries right now? A lot of places that haven't seen GT Ministries and what GT Ministries brings to the table is getting a chance to see that. So what I really appreciate is now we're getting that whole experience of the church, the service, the sermon, the music, the live band, the wrestling. And I know how much it means to so many people like yourself, Jack Johnson, off the air, obviously Rarebit, a lot of people that, obviously we love in the ring, but what Gareth does so much more outside the ring, I think means more than inside the ring. Obviously, I can't wait to see you in Cheese, and I can't wait to see Chronicles 2 the week prior to the 23rd. Obviously, Disciple and Gareth, obviously, we'll see Bentley and Rarebit so much more. We have the ladder match, but I think what GT Ministries does is so much more than wrestling, which is why I always go out of my way to support GT Ministries. And obviously, August 19th will be at Nonstop Action Wrestling Open Challenge this Saturday, and so Wrestling UK on Instagram, also Facebook. Go to their groups, and obviously we'll go all that. But two more comments before I let you go. Davey Blaze wants you in the ring. So Davey Blaze wants a match with you. So
it'd be great to step in the ring with Davey Blaze. He's an established guy.
Yep.
I'm not scared to go toe-to-toe with...
He's a character, Davey Blaze. He's a real character, Davey Blaze. He's
a very good... I'll give him his due. He's a good worker.
So, yes. He's very entertaining. Yes, I have to get in touch with him. I owe him an appearance. Cobra, well done for the belt. Yes, I want to say hello to Louisa. She's been on some of my shows on Sportswire, so I want to thank her. And Davey wants to say, Joe Cobra, put your title on the line against me, and I'll take you to the SmackDown Hotel while I lay the SmackDown on your beautiful groomed beard.
I'll tell you what, David, get yourself a friend. I'll bring my friend. We'll put the belts on the line. We'll go. Let's do it.
Interesting. I think, Mr. Howard, you have a call on line one. That could be maybe Davey Blaze. I guess we'll have to stay tuned for that. And Davey, I know, is a part of things over and our friends over at Cutlery Championship Wrestling. So obviously we'll see that. And Big Cheese is laughing, kind of saying he's so funny. Also, before we go, Joel Cobra's on Instagram. One more time, Joel_Cobra. Joel Cobra on Facebook, Modern Day Mafia, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Please make sure to follow. Love Uncle Ralph. Big shout out to Uncle Ralph as always. Uncle Ralph is one of my favorites, and I always joke, Uncle Ralph is just one of my longtime favorites. He's almost like my uncle, so I always want to make sure that we give a big shout out to Uncle Ralph as well. So I want to thank everybody here, and obviously I'm really, really excited to see this match the 30th of September. I know the Big Cheese will be in this chair coming up, and I can't wait to see what he has to say. I'm sure you'll be tuned in for that, and keep up the great work, my friend. I'm looking forward to everything you're doing. I've always loved what you've done, And I can't thank you enough for giving us this exclusive. And we'll talk with you soon. And let's see what you do on the 19th of August. I think I'm going to get a chance to watch that match. So until then, my friend, congratulations. And we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Joe Cobra of the Modern Day Mafia, one half of the CWE Tag Team Champions, who has announced that he is going to be in the ring the 30th of September against the Big Cheese Logan at GT Ministries show. They're out in Stockton, GT Ministries UK on social media for all details, plus much, much more. And also, August the 19th, it was announced he'll be here in an open challenge at Nonstop Action Wrestling's 0 Day. It could very well be less than 0 for whoever stands in the ring with Dave Douglas and Joe Cobra. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you're on Sportswire Radio, I'll be back here 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Omen Black, Soldier GP, and WCE's Sean Jovi and Nicholas Crenson. So stay tuned here for that. If you're on sportnarium.com/player, you're going to go back to your regularly scheduled programming. And Davey Blaze says, I'll give your hair some candy ash, the Scottish people's elbow, and it doesn't matter what friend you bring. Well, he's got Dave Douglas because he's the tag team champion. So I think, Davey, you'll obviously get in touch with me. We'll talk about that. But thank you, everybody. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on the number one global radio station that is Sports